Hey folks, this is Judy. I'm the GM of the upcoming Broken World campaign brought to you by Cellar, and I'm here to answer some questions about the campaign. So let's just dive right in. My goal for the Broken World from a storytelling perspective is to collaboratively with the players build the deep lore of the world that they are in. While it may seem like the lore and the history and everything is already set as they wake up and learn about it, as they learn who they are, they're going to be learning about their pasts and how their past is tied into this world and how they have been a part of this world and how their previous actions may or may not have shaped the world or how they were shaped by the world in their past. So it's a chance to really kind of improv that as we go throughout the campaign. I'm a giant nerd who loves earth sciences, so I start by thinking of like how no world is static. So I start by thinking of how the world moves in terms of how continents move and how that causes areas of dynamic seismology and things like that, and so that gives me then a topography for the world, and then I think about how cultures around this world are then influenced by the environments in which they reside, and that gives me a lot of notes on how to build places culturally, and the rest kind of moves and shifts according to how the game is played to fit the narrative that I'm trying to tell. The players did very minimal preparation. This is by design. They knew that they were going in essentially waking up with amnesia. They did not know where they would wake up or how they got there. And from a prep standpoint, what I had them do was select a race, select a class, and they could have a name, they could have a sense of self. Right? Like they would wake up knowing who they are, it's just the fine details that elude them. But they still sort of have the same personalities and same things that happened before they woke up. I also had them pick out something called an archetype. And an archetype is something where I distilled down from mythology and storytelling things, different kind of paired archetypes. So you'd have authority and subversion. And within those archetypes, they could pick authority, subversion, they could figure out what that meant to them and play their character to that note, essentially. So subversion, for example, is something that can be a standard, trickster god, like a Loki type character, or it can be something more subtle, or it can be something more revolutionary, something that is an overturning of an idea, or an advocate for change versus authority. So there's lots of different ways to play those archetypes, and so it's very open to interpretation, and so they could have, even two players could pick the same archetype and do something different with it. So that was the guideline that they were given to create their characters. The players, to my knowledge, did not discuss their characters much in advance. We had some discussion on a Discord server going over classes and what people wanted to play, going back and forth between different options. But in terms of who they are as actual characters, there was very little discussion, just very sort of like general outline, as the thinking is they would kind of discover that for themselves as they, improv their way through scenes. There are moments where it does feel like the players and I had worked on background moments in advance. We did not at all. I had hinted that things throughout the world to them would trigger certain memories of their past. And I had laid out beforehand that when this happens, it is going to be a very collaborative improv sort of scene. None of us, by the way, are trained in improv. we're not improv actors. We're not actors. But we have played a whole lot of role-playing games. So that kind of is in itself its own sort of improv training. I don't want to dictate to a player who their character is. I don't want to dictate any choices. I don't want to take any agency away from players. So the goal is I will lay out a scene and you will have the opportunity to react within that scene. Sometimes some of the memories are more collaborative than others. Sometimes it is a very specific scene that is happening and it's something that someone is telling them, or information they're getting in their past, or observing something else, that it's not something that they are actively doing. But for the most part, they are collaborative scene building. So you'll see in the very first memory, I sort of lay out what the scene is, and I ask them, what does that look like to you? What does that mean to you? Where are you? And they're coming up with that on the spot, which I think was incredibly impressive and a definite tell to the storytelling prowess of our players. There are certain truths that are hard and fast that will become uncovered. Certain things that are the same for all of them or that are different for all of them that I have that are canon to the story. Like there's pinpoints, but everything around those pinpoints and even how those canon events and canon things came to be is very much also improv on my part for how it is interacting with what the players are giving me narratively. So if they give me something narratively that illustrates something about their culture, I'm going to be working that into future memories. I'm going to be turning things around. I'm going to be reflecting what they give me back at them so that we continue to build that together. So my hope is that the players get a very engaging experience where they feel, by the end of this, deeply tied to and emotionally invested in this world to one degree or another. They're going to be facing some big moral and very big spiritual questions and very big quandaries, essentially, that maybe don't have a correct answer and really have to examine their place in this world that they are part of. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons, but we are working together collaboratively to build a world and to build a story that has a lot of big questions in it. So that is the goal for this campaign. And for me, what I want to get out of this campaign, I want to watch all my little puppets dance on their strings. They're there to entertain me at the end of the day. I mean, really, come on. No, but I hope to get the same thing out of this campaign that they're getting, that I aim to deliver for them, which is a very rich storytelling experience. Storytelling has been important to humanity since the dawn of time. It's how we reflect reality and understand it. I am excited to put these big ideas and these big set pieces on paper and really have players interact with it and see what they do with it and how they internalize that. And I think that's very interesting to me. It's also very richly rewarding to see things that are in my head come to fruition and people enjoy interacting with it. So that's what I get out of it. So thanks, and I hope that you enjoy the campaign as much as I have enjoyed creating it.